Hello there, welcome back. Apologies, it's taken me a while to make this video, but as you can probably hear, a little bit sniffly, and I've been sick for the past week. But we're finally back here, and today we are going to be finishing off Alpine, which means that we'll be starting a new series very soon, which is going to be around grid, most likely, with 1.8. But we are going to be finishing off the third season of this save. Our second season went very well. We did, in fact, nail both championships. Ocon did get a little bit screwed and end up fourth. It is how it is sometimes. Some bad choices from me did have an effect on that. But it did end up a little bit further down than expected. In terms of what we've done this season, we've done a lot of research. And as you can see here, we have 4 research projects currently running. We're at the 8th of December. So honestly, all that I'm going to do now, because we have all of our staff on long-term contracts. I believe we renewed Pecker's contract here, as you can see. So unless the AI have nabbed him somehow, everyone here has contracts that has a long time remaining. And while it would be hilariously fun to promote Verstappen, I think we'll use these 2 drivers because they are worse overall. Let's say it like that. But yeah, we're going to focus on the third season. We're probably just going to sim through it because we're going to have a car that is going to absolutely dominate. We'll take a look at just how much it will dominate, but I can imagine that we're going to get 1-2 in most races where we don't have a mechanical issue or an incident. So, with that said, we're going to get going here and we'll head over to the end of the season and we'll take a look at where we stand in terms of research. Suspension sim level 3, we have also started some upgrading of the facilities, especially in car part test center in particular. But we're going to save the rest of the money here so that we can kind of upgrade things in the best way possible, if you will. But yeah, facilities wise, again, just a quick heads up, you should try and upgrade these 2 first, I'd argue. And the reason for that is very simple. The Science Center, well, it does have some very nice things like extra engineers and also the stats here. It has a very high upkeep. As you can see, just level 2, the Science Center has 270,000 upkeep. And in comparison, 2 level 3 buildings in the car park test center and also the suspension sim has less than that combined. So try and get these 2 upgraded before you do anything with the Science Center would be my guess. If you are wanting to be safe, you can, of course, keep the Science Center refurbished just in case you get that 2 extra project capacity event. But generally, it's not something that I would focus on until I max out these 2 buildings. A factory at level 2 or level 3 would be basically all you'll need. And again, keep in mind this does go under cost cap. There's no need to really upgrade it beyond that. Internal safety buildings, never upgrade these. It doesn't actually give you any real benefit. Yeah, let us see what the research looks like and if it actually has been a benefit to us. As Verstappen goes down to 89. So the end of the season is upon us here. Sponsor targets, I believe we have met basically all of them. Marketability has gone up slightly, but yeah, it's been a good year in that regard. And so fastest pit stops, I don't think we are first, we're 4th, so a little bit extra cash. Nice. And our research has completed here. So a good season by all marks. We're now a 5-star team. The port wants us to finish first. Rather, that was what they wanted us to do. We already done that. And you can kind of see how our team rating has improved. My team principal rating has improved. But that's not the important part. It's actually taking a look at the research. So regulation changes again. Just to be absolutely clear, we are getting less wind tunnel time this following season, which is going to slow down our development a little bit. Particularly allow the teams further down the order to catch up easier. But yeah, 50% to everything, with the exception of the rear wing, which was hit 70%. And we are going to struggle a little bit, I think, because of the safety time change. Well, not really struggle, but it's going to allow the AI to catch up a lot quicker. Which is not a bad thing in my book, because it makes the game more interesting if they're not just sat in the dirt waiting. Okay, we are going to accept a new target. New season. Financially, we have 5 million as our starting balance because we have to pay things like the entry fee, staff, and facilities. So yeah, a little bit unfortunate that the car development is expensive. Technical, let's go through this. Suspension. We've actually done a decent enough job on suspension. We're still losing some of our performance, which is not great, particularly hopefully the cornering, but that is not really a huge deal. Underfloor, losing a little bit more than what I'm comfortable with, but should be way less than the AI. Side pods, again, we're losing a little bit, but that's what you expect from this regulation change. When it comes to the rear wing medium, we're not really losing much. Also, we're not losing much in terms of drag and DRS. And the same, I believe, is the case for the front wing. We're not really losing much of the low speed, which is what we focus on. Airflow front. And as such, you can imagine that we're going to have some pretty decent front and rear wings this year. Chassis, I'd say this is acceptable. We just lose 6%. But yeah, we can definitely take advantage of this regulation change. With that said, though, safety did get changed, but that is about it. So, we are mostly enthusiastic still, which is nice to see. And the car is first in everything but hit tolerance and top speed. Yeah, that doesn't come as a surprise. Now, if we compare ourselves to other cars that we would be fighting, the McLaren has already lost over a kph on us. It has beaten dirty air tolerance, let's be fair. But in every other category, we have them massively beat. This is kind of what you will be seeing. Oh no, McLaren, what have you done? McLaren has picked Renault engines. Red Bull, let's have a look. They still have us in top speed. They're the only team that is beating us in top speed. But generally here, the cornering stats do look good. We have a fairly decent advantage. And for the Ferrari, we have a, again, pretty sizable advantage. I'm not really worried. Okay, pit group performance. They do lose some performance every year when you switch over. You do need to work on that speed. And other than that, Verstappen here lost some stats again. He's really not enjoying the affiliate life. To be fair, if this happened to Verstappen in reality, he would probably just say, "I'm done here. Bye bye." Guess we'll pick the 4-star balance package. I would love a race targets package here because race targets is something that we will easily dominate this year, I think. So we'll be looking for packages to kind of help with that. Could also go for a couple of upfront packages here because engagement, we already have a high level of engagement. So I think rather than getting more money through engagements here, we're going to pick a couple of upfront packages as that will allow us to do a little bit of the good old rushing components. We only have 5 million. It's going to give us 30 million immediately. That's going to be more beneficial getting engagement throughout the season. Okay. Let's get started on making a new car here. And we're going to get started immediately by, as mentioned, investing safety time into the underfloor here. However, as I mentioned probably in an earlier video, safety time, each tick is equal to 1 day's worth of expertise gain, which is why it's so powerful. So while we in previous season had close to 100, 150 each days each time we use safety, this year it's only going to be worth 70 days. So our safety expertise gain has been severely cut down. That is going to slow down our progression somewhat. But even with that in mind, I don't think it's going to be a huge deal. So I wouldn't worry too much. Okay, let's just get the project up and running and then we'll decide on where we place our engineers. And we are going to be making a car here that is basically just maximize sliders. And once we get this car up and running, you're going to be seeing some pretty silly stuff in terms of our car's performance compared to everyone else's. That is going to be probably a little bit interesting to look at, let's be honest. Now, again, we're just going to focus on what every part is good at. So, side pods, made in high-speed cornering, as well as its cooling. And top speed, again, I don't value it highly because generally, with the changes to this year's game where cornering is actually king, there's no real need, if you will, to invest into it. So, hence, we will not. There we go, we do lose a tiny bit of cornering, but we get another 10% tire preservation here. If we can get tire preservation 70% this season, we're going to have a huge advantage over every single AI team. That is going to be kind of hilarious. Now, in reality, I don't need to rush this one. I don't need to rush this project. And the reason why is very simple. We are rushing the chassis, we're rushing the side pods. We're not going to be making a second edition of these. We are going to be making a second edition of the underfloor. And we kind of need to do here is probably just run these projects as they are. Maybe put one more engineer in here to sort it out. But the reality of the situation is I want to get a new car by the time that we get to Kia. And the best way to do that is to rush 3 of our projects here. Again, we're rushing the chassis, we're rushing the side pods, because once these projects are done, they'll be starting the front wing and the rear wing. And the underfloor, we need to run 2 projects to get the upgraded one with CFD time into it. So, yeah, this is fine. We don't need to rush this one. There's no real benefit to doing so. We just lose expertise. So that's why we're rushing 3 projects and not rushing the 4th as well. In terms of pit stop training here, I'm just going to get the... honestly, I'm kind of tempted to just go with the balance here. Get the pit stop errors down again, and then we can work on time throughout the season. So I'm going to get this sorted, and then we'll jump into... We'll rather see how the car gets developed here. So we got an event here that is supposed to be pretty good, because we can pay overtime. Then we get the parts done about a week earlier, or in this case 8 days. But this event is bugged currently. It adds days instead of subtracting them. So as you can see, it's supposed to be done the 23rd. This is the underfloor. If we do this, it's going to go to the 15th. So let's go ahead and pay overtime and see what happens. And what happened is that the underfloor is now done on the 31st. It added 8 days instead of subtracting them. So until they fix this, don't take advantage of this this event. There's just no point. I have to say before this, but it's just a bit of a warning. Because sometimes this actually works, but sometimes it doesn't. So there is definitely some different wording there that probably does need to be taken a bit of a look at. But with that said, we are going to take a look at the team roster update for the 26th season. Norris and Sainz at Red Bull. Leclerc and Drugovich at McLaren. So that's going to be interesting. We'll have to see where Piastri has ended up. Alonso and Hamilton at Ferrari. The old guard is going to try and bring them back to the top. We have Dunn in the Aston Martin. We had Sean Russell and the rest here. So, yeah. I think we just need to go into the drivers list there, or rather the scouting list, if we actually want to take a look at who is driving where. So, Piastri is a free agent. Do we add him to our collection? The highest rated driver is yet again a free agent. Porsche is a free agent. Antonelli is a free agent. Like, excuse me? If we really wanted to now, we could straight up just hire, like, Piastri. We could put him in a car. The problem is just the contract break cost. But yeah, this kind of it's kind of getting ridiculous at this point. The contracts. 1.8 is supposed to fix that. But then again, 1.6 was also supposed to fix that. So I'm looking forward to seeing if they actually got a proper fix this time around. But yeah, with that said, we are going to keep on developing the car. It would be nice to pick up Piastri, but right now, it doesn't seem like that is very likely. But yeah, let's see if we see anything interesting. Hamilton, Tsunoda Albon at Aston. Russell is still at the Merc. Bottas, Rick, Hulkenberg Sargent, Aja, Hirakawa. What? This man has gone to RB. And Hajar has gone to Mercedes. Well, Hajar is 81 rated, so it's not the worst choice ever. But yeah, this is going to be a weird one, I think. But with that said, let's keep on developing the car. I'm going to have to reload the save because, as mentioned, we don't want this event because it's not doing what it's supposed to. But let's get that fixed. Now that we have the chassis and also the side pods, we're going to go ahead and start some manufacturing of both of these. Again, these are probably going to be the only chassis and side pods that we're really going to use. So we're just going to normally manufacture these. We still have plenty of time until we get to Secure. So there should be no problem getting these parts made in time, even with just 3 slots. Now, with the slots now that has opened up, we're going to get started on the front wing. And here, too, we're going to focus on We're going to focus on it similarly to what we've done in earlier seasons. We are going to lower our durability a little bit, but keep it 2 ticks to the right. Make sure it's 2 to 4. This saves us a little bit of pain from not having to manufacture a ton of these, although financially it's not really a strain. It's not something we need to do right now. And basically, if your car is very dominant, you can go a little bit higher on the durability for parts that break easily, or that last a short time. That's not going to be a huge deal. Now, the reality of the situation here is we can actually do something like this, where we do just 4 engineers, we don't rush it. And the reasoning behind why we do something like this is very, very simple. It costs me, what would this be, 900,000 to rush the project. But if I use 4 engineers and instead rush the creation of the front wings, the manufacturing of the front wings, that's going to be cheaper than me rushing the entire design project. That is why we're doing it like this. Similarly, we're going to do the exact same thing to the rear wing. And again, here, we're not going to focus on our DRS this time around because we already have a car that is insanely powerful. And while having good DRS is a nice thing to have, like it's one of those, that's nice there, it does come with the merits of the fact that you will outqualify the car. It's not really something that would be a concern for us this year, I'll be perfectly honest. But I would rather just have more cornering, more top speed, and that's going to allow us to get away from everyone anyways. And even so, we should still qualify front row, or in worst case scenario, 3rd and 4th, 5th maybe, allowing us to do a couple of easy overtakes at the start of races, get that confidence boost, and then just fly off into the horizon. That is why I'm doing this, but honestly, there's nothing wrong with maximizing DRS, literally. It's just a difference of philosophy, most likely. DRS is very powerful, yes, but it does also come with the negative fact that if your DRS is more powerful than the AIs, you might outqualify them, and they might just overtake you and destroy your confidence at the start of races. I'm trying to avoid that. Hence, why I am lowering the DRS rather than increasing it. That's at least the logic there. Now, in 5 days, we are going to be getting the first underfloor, and as I mentioned, we're just going to do another one immediately. There it is. We're not going to manufacture this one because we just aren't going to be using it. And instead, we are going to go ahead here and start a new underfloor project immediately. And I'm just going to focus on the cornering aspects. And it's not going to be a huge gain, let's face it. It's not going to be a hugely impactful gain here from this underfloor. That is fine. We are going to have to rush this one, though, to get it done in time, which is a little bit expensive. But let's face it, we can rush both underfloors again, and then we'll have them ready for Bahrain. So with everything now sorted, everything is going to be developed. We're basically just going to start manufacturing suspensions once they're done. We're going to rush a couple of underfloors. We're going to rush front and rear wings. And unless we have an event that delays our projects here, that should be pretty straightforward. So, as I mentioned, the event did hit us here. The sign project paused for 10 days, which means that we are going to get some delays here. In particular, if we take a look here, this means that we are not getting anything but the suspension for secure. It's not a huge problem. Let's be perfectly honest, it's not a huge problem at all. It's still manageable. And it basically just means that our car will be fully operational in Jeddah or Australia, which, again, is not a problem. It's just a bit of an unfortunate side effect of us rushing our projects, but take a look at this. Looks like Australia is going to be where our car is fully operational. And, again, not a huge problem. So let's just see what it looks like going into Australia and how the first couple of races go. And here we are. Underfloor is now complete. And with that, we can go ahead and manufacture a couple. I'm going to rush this, which means that we'll have them actually ready for Jeddah. Because as long as it's not a sprint weekend, you can actually switch paths before quali. And that's kind of what we're going to do here. So we'll rush those 2 underfloors. Now, you probably do have a bit of a question here in the sense that why haven't I just gone ahead and manufactured the level 2 underfloor? And the reason for that is actually incredibly simple. We don't need to. There's no need for us to make this underfloor going into Bahrain and going into Jeddah, simply because our car is already incredibly strong compared to our rivals. So I have no need for making that underfloor. It would just be a waste of money to spend it to make parts that's only going to be used for one race. That's kind of where I'm at with the logic there, if you will. Now, we probably can start a manufacturing of, say, another suspension. That wouldn't be a terrible idea. But the problem would be that we are getting front and rear wing, and I want to get at least one car up and running with both of them before we go into Jeddah. So we'll rush one suspension for now. And in terms of design projects here, I am going to be running some extra projects, particularly for the chassis and also for the side pods, where we are kind of going to just try and maximize some of the extra stats here. In that sense, what I mean by that is that we're just going to make a chassis with identical sliders to the first one. Going to run 2-3 projects or so just to build expertise. Generally, I would do this for research, I'll be honest, but research hasn't opened yet. We have a lot of money. So the way that we are getting this expertise back is just running projects that we aren't tending really to put on the car until we've done them 2 or 3 times to just build up confidence and make it actually a decent stat gain, if you will. With that said, I believe we now have every piece that we can put on the car. Well, every piece being 3 pieces in this case, the chassis, as you can see. Difference is quite astonishing, let's be honest. So that is pretty good. We have our side pods to help with the cooling that we're losing. And we probably, like, the thing here also is we have so much cooling now that we can probably actually sacrifice some. But it's not necessarily a good idea either. But you could, once you get over 60, 70% cooling, you can start sacrificing some for performance because you generally don't need that much. And lastly, we put on the new suspension. With that, we're now the quickest car around. The only thing we're bad at is dirty air tolerance, which honestly, again, is something that I am perfectly fine with sacrificing. Now, with just 3 parts upgraded on the car, we probably have a pretty huge advantage. If you look at the Red Bull, we've now taken them to top speed. They have shed a little weight, which means they have some new parts. But generally, they are pretty far behind. We already have them beaten DRS. Look at the McLaren. Same thing here. The only thing that we're beating is dirty air tolerance. And the McLaren's actually gone, quote-unquote, backwards here with adding another 7.8 kilograms of extra weight. The durability needs a little bit of a rework, let's be honest. Some people just say don't take advantage of it. But in a game that kind of says that, you know, about Formula 1, you are supposed to take every advantage you can get. And in this case, this advantage is a little bit too easy to get, maybe. But it's probably just me being a little bit stubborn more so than anything else. Ferrari as well has done well here. The only thing they have is really beaten is dirty air tolerance. I don't care about acceleration because acceleration is 90% engine. And it's one of the reasons why the car performance rankings sometimes go very, very haywire. We're currently ranked first and second right now, which is a miracle with the Renault engine. But yeah, we are going to head into Bahrain here. And I'm just going to go through the first couple of races and we'll see exactly how we stack up. But I think we should have no problem with winning. The only issue that I could see happening here is that we might want to go for third. Because first and second is going to be a little bit painful for rewards because sometimes Ocon will beat Gasly, particularly if we're simming. So we might need to take might need to make a little bit of a decision there. Now, in terms of simming, once you become this dominant, the seasons get pretty dull because you could just sim through and you'll generally be getting 1-2s. And take a look at where we are stacking up. 1-2. Not a huge surprise. And this should be a 1-2 finish with like a minute down to third, I would think. And you can probably, you know, lap the entire field if you played it manually. But no, Norris has actually kept up with us. That's actually kind of insane. And Show in the Haas ended up 5th. Okay, maybe this season will have some interesting scenarios for us, which would kind of be funny. But yeah, I'm surprised that Norris has actually been able to keep up in the Red Bull. With how much slower it's supposed to be, I would not have guessed that. But as you can see here, Sainz is about half a minute behind. The Show is a full minute. And we didn't actually lap anyone but 16th, 17th, and 18th. So, wondering if a safety car might have played in there. And of course, Ocon with a, what is this, a 3% chance? I think it is. He hit the 3% chance twice in a row to get Norris that second place. But yeah, I still don't think it's going to be a huge problem this season. That is probably more of an outlier, particularly once we get all parts up and running. But yeah, that was a little bit weird to see. Private development update. We're in March. Yeah. That was a bit for training. We're still going to focus on just getting that pace up time down. Make sure that we're not tired going into the weekend. Because that's going to up the chances of us getting errors. And I don't want that. But yeah, it looks like we are fine. We add a few gym sessions rather than setups. Like so. With that, can now get sign completion for the front and the rear wing. We also have a new ATR period, but I'm just going to wait and use this in research. Honestly, I'm still just going to be doing a lot of research because it's just the easy way to do. 12th of March. Now you can see that event works as intended. The one where you pay overtime does not. Which is a little bit unfortunate. But yeah, we can manufacture a couple of front wings here. I think what we'll do is just do them normally. And the reason for that is we need to switch components during the race weekend anyways, and even if we rush it with just 2 days until we go to Jeddah, we're not going to be able to switch them out. So just do them normally, and we might compare car, say, afterwards. Similarly here to what we did earlier, we are just going to start some more design projects with the intent of producing expertise. As you can see, it's not really a huge gain across the board. It's barely a gain at all. But once you do 3 or 4 of these projects, it's actually going to be a fairly decent performance increase, if you will. Now, what we also could do here with the underfloor is focus on the stats that we haven't really put any thought into, like the dirty air tolerance, the top speed. It's nice to have some, and when you're down at 40%, getting this up to 50 can be very, very good. So we're just going to do a little bit of boosting there. Again, the lower your expertise is, the easier it is to get it up. But yeah, with that said, Jeddah is in 2 days. We have all of our components under manufacturing. Can take a look here at the underfloor and see exactly what that would do to the car. So if we put the underfloor on, again, that's just another 34, 30, 74. It's a huge gain across the board. Let's be perfectly honest. That is probably going to be enough. That, well, it does put us 20th in dirty air tolerance and 2nd in top speed. If we compare the car now to, say, the Red Bull again, we now have over 200 high speed advantage. Close to 130 medium, and still holding 100 low speed. Cornering wise, the Red Bull no longer has any chance of keeping up with us, and I still can't get over how Norris got 2nd place. That seems to be some sort of black magic. But we'll take a look at Saudi Arabia here. We are going to take a look at what the car looks like there. And I think also we'll take a look at Australia. And then we'll probably just power through the remains, if you will, of this season. I do believe that we will focus Gasly because money.
We're here in Jeddah, where the tension...
That's the easiest answer. And since we are intending to put more parts in the car, we just simulate to qualifying. And I'm going to show you what I mean now by you can put parts on the car during a race weekend. So if we go into car parts now, and we check the front wing, you can see that we actually have a front wing available. We have a rear wing available. And if you remember the amount of cornering that we had an advantage on already, it's going to add another 40 to the medium. And it also added another 60 to the low speed. Which means that the cornering advantage we're going to have is straight up going to be pretty insane. Also going to go ahead and put that 2nd underfloor on Ocon's car. And with that, I don't think we can really be beat here. You can, of course, improve the setups, but I don't think we have a need to do that here because of our boys and, more importantly, the car. 1-2 in quali. Let's see what the race has to offer.
Now that's an excellent...
Another 1-2, but Ocon won this time. So as I mentioned, bit of the concern. The fact that Gasly lost though with an upgraded rear wing and front wing versus Ocon, disgraceful. But yeah, that is kind of what we expected. And curious here, no pistol issue. So the only problem that I might need to have to pick the second tier because I can't guarantee that the first place finisher is going to be finishing first all the time, which is a bit of a weakness, but it's something that I am going to have to keep in mind. So probably start doing a little bit lower there. Now we're going to go ahead here and go to Melbourne, and then we'll take a look at the other cars. But generally, from this point forwards, you should be able to just sim this entire season without making really any more parts. Focus on research like last year. Then you'll probably dominate for years to come. For now, let's go to Melbourne, see how both cars stack up there. So as we're getting closer to Melbourne here, we are taking another look at our performance compared to the other teams. And as mentioned for Red Bull here, we now have 150 advantage in low speed, almost 200 on the medium. We still hold a good 200 here on the high speed. So again, good advantage. The only problem is 30 air tolerance, which I imagine can actually be a bit of a problem when we simulate. But this is also something that we can easily adjust and fix. But if you manually control the races here, you will be flying. Let's just be honest. Now, if we compare it to, say, the McLaren, still that same huge advantage, even bigger, actually. They have shed a little bit of that extra weight, but the fact that they went up to 27 kilograms is kind of bad to begin with. And as mentioned, I think the AI teams are going to struggle to catch up. But the only positive thing with the regulation change here is because since everyone does an equal amount of research, every AI team basically ends up being very, very similar in terms of performance. So I'm looking forward to exactly seeing how that's going to play out. You actually have second or high. That's perfect. Car performance is now second on the grid because we've... is it for real? Oh, it's because Ocon's car is number one now. Because I put the pass on him first. I don't get how the car performance, adjustment works, but we'll take it. For now, that's what we're happy with. Let's see what Australia has to offer. In general here, I would imagine another one too. And that's generally going to be what the rest of the season has to offer too. Hence why I'm going to be simulating it. We have kind of min-maxed to a point where the AI can't really compete. I'll be honest, in this series. So we are just going to kind of sail through the rest of the season. Probably going to give you an update about halfway through. Maybe, if we have some good crashes or something like that. But generally here, if we take a quick look, Norris is actually still keeping up somehow. I don't know how he's doing it, but he was actually keeping up with Gasly as well. Okay. Maybe Norris will be a little bit of a problematic presence. But I don't get how he's keeping up. So we'll take it. It's going to make things a little bit more spicy. We get paid out 2 million each race weekend if we do well. So over the course of the season, we could get basically almost another 50 million. Yeah, I'm a bit surprised that Norris is keeping up as well as he is. We're fifth now on DRS effectiveness, which again is not a concern, I dare say. And we do now need to kind of make sure that we make enough parts. That's going to be the other issue, if you will. But I'm not too worried. We have Japan coming up. We're going to simulate through most of the season. Again, I don't get how the Red Bull is keeping up with us. It just shouldn't, but it's a simulation. It's not perfect. So I can imagine that if we did these manually, the Red Bull would have no chance at getting anything done. But yeah. We're going to start simulating a lot of the season now. We kind of have gotten everything sorted. Research-wise, I'm going to do something similar to what I did last year. And this is going to be the final episode of the speedrun. It's just how things are going to be. There's not really a lot more that we can do with this series. So I think I'll focus on other aspects of the game and other series. Around the Grid is probably going to be the next one. But as mentioned, I want to wait until that 1.8 comes out before we start that one. But yeah, let's speed through this. Let's see what we can do. So, I haven't really shown what the car is capable of when you manage it manually. One of our biggest weaknesses with this car in our third season is rain. So, currently, I manage the Monaco Grand Prix, and as you can see, we're a good 50 seconds ahead of the Red Bulls here. I haven't really done any in-depth management. The only thing I've really done here is manage fuel. But as you can see, we already got 50 seconds out of them. We do have a safety car with 20 laps to go, which is causing a little bit of mayhem for this. But generally here, you can and should on most tracks, even with rain, qualify at the front of the grid, get by, and then create a gap. With 58 laps in, we basically gotten a second a lap quicker for Ocon versus Red Bulls every single lap. And as you can imagine, that's quite the insane difference. We do have some cars that have crashed here and DNF'd, but this is actually the first safety car. We had a red flag lap one with Hajar. But other than that, all of these other DNFs, if you will, have been ones that hasn't actually caused any issues. But yeah, we are going to just pit both here, and we're going to take a look at the restart. So that will give us a pretty good idea of what we can expect. We are hitting here. It is going to be Inters till the end, so no worries there. What we are going to do here is go full attack and go full push. There's no reason not to just get this set up prematurely. Because, yeah, as you can see, everyone down to Hamilton has been lapped. And honestly, if we didn't have this safety car, we could very well see Norris and also Sainz getting lapped, and neither of them elected to go in for new tires. So we're going to have quite the big advantage. And honestly, the 4X is stuttering, the 8X is not. So that is kind of interesting too. But the 1.8 patch should have fixed the stuttering issue in the rain. Yeah, let's get the safety car over and done with. And once that has happened, we can consider our next step. But yeah, Monaco can turn into a pretty insane crash fest. Let's just put it like that. And here's the funny thing, because of the fact that cars are lapped, actually see we have a lap Ferrari there. That's Hamilton, Bottas, Sargent, Tsunoda, Albon, Show, Leclerc, Hulkenberg, Djokovic, Russell. The Red Bulls are actually... Where exactly are the Red Bulls? They're near Haas, so they're near Show. They're ahead of Show. But there's still a gap, simply due to the fact that there are lap cars, which is hilarious to me. But they'll, of course, get up to the back of us now that the lap cars may overtake.
Like, yes,
Albon crashed
Alex Albon's involved in
under safety car? What happened? Drives into the wall, shaves off a little bit on that front wing. But yeah, lap cars may overtake. I don't think every lap car is going to be able to overtake, though. By the time we reach the the start here, look at the gaps that are being formed. Like, look from Ocon to Gasly. Like, not every car has unlapped themselves at this point. Finally, it took a full lap to get everyone unlapped. And even then, Schumacher and Russell are a couple laps behind. But yeah, that was insane that it took that long. Hamilton is almost caught up because of the unlapping procedure here. But yeah, it's gonna be us versus Red Bulls. That is basically it. We have a huge tire advantage of almost 20%. We have the best cars. And with that, we should have no problem here just sailing off into the sunset. And as you can see, it has already happened. So we'll just tune both of these guys down a little bit. But yeah, let's see. With 13 laps to go here, how much of a gap we can create when we are pushing very aggressively. Maybe we should need to deploy a little bit more because the Red Bulls are actually kind of keeping up here. Another yellow flag. Schumacher. I love that Schumacher has to make a cameo every single race. Yeah, let's see what kind of gap we can create here. So we're getting to the end here. Final lap. I'm kind of tempted to go into the pit lane. Russell has also had his mechanical fault evolve. And as you can see here, a lot of DNFs, which is usually also what you'll be seeing in your third season due to the fact that every car has lost a lot of performance. But yeah, 13 laps, we gained 22 and 27 seconds. So, as you can imagine, manually doing races, unless you have a mechanical failure or a crash, you should be seeing yourself finish 1-2, basically every single one of them. But yeah.
Procedures, please.
Monaco, kind of crash heavy in the third season usually. And if we take a look at the drivers' standings now, we don't have a huge gain here on Norris. Norris has actually won a race while we were simming because we had issues with both cars. But all in all, it's going very, very well. The Red Bulls are overperforming, kind of, I feel, in comparison to us. That's mainly down to the drivers more so than anything else. With that said, we are going to speed things up here a little bit because, as I mentioned, there's not really much to do this season other than just to do the honors, so to speak. Just sail through and win. We are, of course, going to do research because that is that is honestly, I feel, the most beneficial use of your slots to do research. And in this case, we're getting hit with a cooling and also airflow focus change, which means that we have a little bit of focus that we need to do research anyways. But yeah, the car is just amazing for cornering at the moment. It is amazing for tire preservation. We're behind the 30 tolerance, we're behind the DRS. But as I mentioned, neither of these are hugely impactful when you have a car that is as quick as ours to begin with. The only problem that we would have is rain, 30 tolerance. And I'm pretty sure 30 tolerance has some effect on when it comes to simulating races because I don't feel the Red Bull should be as close as they are. So maybe you need a more balanced car for simulating, but if you're playing manually, this should get the job done every single time. So we have reached the end here, of this season. Norris did win quite a few races, probably more than he should. Hulkenberg finally got his podium in an RB. And as you can see, it was actually a pretty close fight. It's just 12 points between them. But to be fair, we kind of fell off towards the end of the season, like we kind of expected. But Norris getting 8 race wins in the Red Bull is actually kind of insane, and probably a testament to the fact that the simulation probably runs with everything on standard. Is what I'm feeling, because whenever I took manual control races, we would just create a gap in the beginning, and no one would be able to keep up. And if we compare our car to the Red Bull, we still have a huge advantage. 30 air tolerance, again, is a weakness, but that's something you can fix. DRS effectiveness is also kind of weak, but that's also something we can fix. But cornering, the advantage that we have here is so huge that there's no way that Norris should have been as close as he did. So if you're planning on simulating a season, probably up your 30 air tolerance a little bit, maybe a little bit more DRS effectiveness, top speed too, maybe. But from a cornering perspective, they shouldn't have been as close as it was. And maybe it is the fact that we might want to upgrade our drivers. But yeah, that was it for the speedrun. The season, everything did go pretty well. This one was fairly close, honestly, towards the end there. Kind of considering showing a couple of the races. But as it turns out, took manual control in Vegas. We demolished that one, so I don't know. Vegas should have been one of our weaker tracks. And also, as you can see, Verstappen has lost 4 stat points over the course of this season. So his life as an affiliate is not good. He has not been enjoying himself. He's still really, really good because he's enthusiastic. But yeah, he's not been a fan of the affiliate life. The last thing I want to just check here before we end today's episode and finish off this series, and as I mentioned, we're probably going to be starting a new one, is kind of how we did in terms of research. As you can see that we have focused a lot of research this season. We have used just those standard parts we made in the beginning, and we haven't really added anything to it because we haven't found a need. And I just want to see exactly where we would stack up next year, the 4th season, so to speak, in terms of performance. We do have a lot of money saved up, as you probably saw too, about 50 million. Marketability is going through the roof. But yeah, we have about 50 million saved up from not really spending much money this year. And that has helped us out as well. Okay. Team is doing good. Regulation changes, as you can see, they're pretty basic. We had airflow front, airflow middle, airflow everywhere, airflow sensitivity, dirty air, and also tire preservation, as well as cooling. So I'm curious how we're going to stack up against the rest of the field, because in terms of research, we kind of focused what we were losing on. We did invest safety time into chassis, side pods, underfloor, and suspension as well as front wing. The only thing we didn't safety research this year was the rear wing. To be fair though, we get very little safety, but as you can see in terms of the chassis, you can see that we gained 34% cooling, 21% airflow middle. So I have been focusing a little bit on what has been falling behind. Now that's something you can do in the 26th season. Same here with the front wing, but we only did that one project, and it just barely kept the tire preservation, airflow sensitivity, airflow front where it was. The rear wing, we didn't do anything. The only thing was airflow sensitivity. And as you can see here, for the side pods too, we did outdo the cooling. We did get some underflow work in. And this should also make life a little bit easier for us this next season with the changes to dirty air. I'm kind of curious how as I mentioned, the AI is going to stack up. Here's an interesting part. Now, DRS effective lines were 19th, we're 11th top speed. So the AI has caught up over the course of the season, which is not surprising. It's kind of what you expect. So we can now have a very, very fun and interesting season ahead of us. But I think with specialized parts will still come out ahead. And now our dirty air tolerance is better. Our tire preservation is already 70%. They have terrible tire preservation to compare. And also, if we take a quick look here, if we were to make another tire preservation suspension, we could get another 7 or maybe 8% out of this. So we still have some gains that we can get. And while we are getting up there now percentage-wise, which allows us to pull out a little bit more performance, I don't think it's going to be a huge deal in the big picture, if you will. But as you can see now, we're losing less performance from making performance parts because we're getting up there. But this is going to be the end of this series. The Speedrun has done kind of what it wanted to, taking a team in the lower, showing you how you can win. 2 seasons in a row, we have won, got through the research season. This one can be kind of fun. We might revisit it some other time. But we're going to end it here. My voice is kind of started to die a little bit. And hopefully I'll be back tomorrow. If not, in a couple of days. As I have been sick and I haven't been feeling too good. But yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Around the Grid is going to be next series, but we're going to wait with that into 1.8. So we'll do some one-shots. Probably RB one season challenge just to see how that one feels right now. Maybe I'll do some videos talking about different aspects of F1 Manager. I don't know. It's been tiresome, so we'll see. Not the game, just real life at the moment. So I'll see what we do. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for following, and I hope you will be the next time. Bye bye.